Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. Mr. Chairman, I want the record to be crystal clear about the true cause of this bill, because every single warning came true. This law did not make the tax code any simpler. It did not balance the budget, does not ease the burden on working families. Instead, this law put politics before the people. In my estimation, it was a shame and a disgrace. In the past few months, past few weeks, I spent some time having what I call an executive session with myself. I find myself going back to a time when public servants put the hopes and dreams of the nation ahead of rich, wealthy donors. For me, Mr. Chairman, the 89th Congress was a model, and the year 1965 was extraordinary. Before 1965, people stood in immovable lines. On occasion, a person of color would be asked to count the number of bubbles in a bar of soap, or the number of jelly beans on a jar. On March 7, 1965, Jose Williams, a staff person for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I attempt to lead a march from Selma to Montgomery to dramatize that people of color could not register to vote. As we marched for the right to vote, more than 600 men and women and children were chased, beaten, left bloody, and trampled by state troopers and horses. That terrible day became known as Bloody Sunday. In response, President Lyndon Johnson worked with Congress to pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That same year, the Congress also passed a bill that supported the dream and vision of the United States as a nation of immigrants. In 1965, Congress also invested in the hopes and dreams of students. Mr. Chairman, you may also remember that in 1965, it was the year that members of the Ways and Means Committee worked to create Medicare and Medicaid. Mr. Chairman, 1965 was a historic year in the history of the United States Congress. In my office, you will find a jar of jelly beans. It is a reminder of the struggle and sacrifice of so many people and the works that remain. This is why it breaks my heart to look at efforts like this tax law to roll back the clock and take us back to a darker place, a different time. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. Today, Congress turned a blind eye and a deaf ear to the needs of the people. You rush a bill of this size for a message, not merit. To cover the cost of these tax cuts, you destroy the hopes and dreams of the American people, of working families, of the young and old, and generation yet unborn. You cannot get blood from a Turner, and you cannot justify robbing Peter to pay visionary Paul. Mr. Chairman, with this law, the chickens are coming home to roost. No matter how you spin it, how you frame it, history will not be kind to this Congress and this law. This bill is not for the people. It is not of the people. And Mr. Chairman, it was not and never will be tax reform. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr.